Alright, welcome back to Etheria Restart as a free-to-play. The tournament has just concluded about an hour ago, and let's take a look at the results. So, the top 16, we are Denial, and we won our first game, and then versus Bruisers, and then we won our second game versus Bruisers, and then in the third game, unfortunately, we did lose to Cleve. They had a Raymarie and also a Heinrich, and with only one ban, it was quite difficult to win this matchup. I do think that I made quite a few mistakes after watching the video that I took of this match. So I'm going to go over that in a future video. So yeah, just check out our next video. We're going to be going over some of the matches and what we could have done better. But he ended up winning the whole thing, so I think overall we were in third place, tied with ZK Crochet. Yeah, which is pretty good. I think in top 4, the only players that were content creators were Mataro as well as myself. So overall we would have been the second highest rated content creator, which is great. Yeah. So today I'm going to be going over my account, all of the builds of my characters, and where I invested my lattices. So let's take a look. First we had Plume. Her shell was Swift, Bloodbath, Swift Smite. And we had a Gaze, I don't know if this is really relevant, and a Yellow Swift, or Yellow Shadow Dash, as well as an HP. I decided to go Bloodbath and forego the extra speed from Swift Rush because this would keep her up a little bit longer and get her to those, how many stacks? 10 stacks, I believe, before she died twice. And she did do her job. I think she is one of the best first picks into a lot of matchups. Her speed, pretty slow, but she did her job. Second, we had Fushu. Fushu is a really, really good unit, especially in the Bruiser v Bruiser matchup. Yeah, she was one of my highest pick priorities, but a lot of players did ban her because I think in some of my earlier videos I was using Fushu for some of the clears, so I didn't get to use her that much, but when I did use her, she was very, very useful. Her shell, she was on Supernova. We were running an offset with Bloodbath and an offset of Bulwark. These were just alright. Synergy gives her a bit more damage, and Shadow Dash makes sure that she is able to use her ultimate. We did put a bit of speed on. We have a yellow speed actually here, just to get to, I mean, 200 is not that great. I would want a little bit more speed, just so she can, cut in and actually keep your guys alive. But she did work when I was able to pick her, but most of the time she was banned. The second most banned unit, and I didn't really get to use this unit very much, was Tiamat. Tiamat was on a really, really broken Amber Shell. I wasn't even able to find a 3-3. I did a lot of Shadow Flame Hoyan, but I never found any info. Actually, you'll notice that I think this is my only complete Inferno Shell. Everything else is kind of like offsets. This is an offset. This is not even Inferno, not Inferno. Oh, this is my only maybe true Inferno Shell. This, I never actually farmed an Ether Plague, so I was just using these two. So, oh, this also was a, what's it called? An Inferno Shell that I had fully utilized, and yeah, that's about it. Oh, this as well, I think. No, I didn't use Bramble. But anyways, we were able to get a red crit rate as well as a red damage, universal damage, and a yellow HP. Her stats were 88% crit, which is a nice place to be, and I think she was double HP and crit rates. Yeah. Her speed, not so great, very, very bad. But Bramble was doing work for me, I guess, making up for that speed a little bit. I would have loved to have a Inferno Shell for extra speed, as well as the extra speed set. Swift Smite, I think. Yeah. So, unfortunate, but she did a lot of work. She is a, what is it? 415. Oh, sorry. Plume was on a 115. So I actually got a dupe of Plume on the standard banner, and I was considering going into her S1 for this extra 15 speed, but I decided against that, and I decided to go into S3 because I felt like this was very, very important in the Bruiser matchup, with the weakness duration increased as well as the cooldown reduction. And I think that was a good choice. Another option that I was thinking about was just putting a single lattice into her level 2 S2 just for an extra 1.5% turn push. And then that way I would be able to save all of my lattices and just use the dupe lattice that I get from her prowess. But yeah, I think this was a good choice. Fushu, I went into level 2 or level 3 of her S3 just for a little bit more turn meter. And Tiamat, yeah, I think these are the standard things to upgrade. I didn't feel like this was necessary, so I left it. Rahu, he was on level 4, and then level 1. I think these are the two most important ones. This one's giving him damage, and also speed, actually. And this one is the one that's actually making him scale. He was on Bramble Bloodbath. Oh, why do I have a Colossal Guard? Oh, yeah, so he's on Bramble Bloodbath. We had to play 4 pieces of Bloodbath on an offset, and he was, I would like him to be 85% crit rate, but we were able to get to 80, which is alright, I guess. And this song sucks, so I'm going to change the song. Let's go with this one. Oh, this is a great song. Yeah, he was on defense, crit rate, and defense. So double defense, 1 crit rate. I think when I played him on my... so this is his CC setup on Amber. And then I also had a Bruiser v Bruiser setup, which was playing 1 offset thing. Much higher crit rate. A bit too high, actually. But he was on crit rate, crit damage, and then defense. And I actually preferred this much, much more than the other one when facing T2 players. But yeah, he did great. Lily, I actually didn't pick her very much. I think I picked her maybe in 1 or 2 games in the prelims. But I think when I did pick her with either Rahu or Tiamat, she did great. So she was on really, really scuffed pieces. 2 speed, 5 speed. Yeah, pretty scuffed. But she did quite alright. I think just sub 300 speed. And yeah, she is on 511. And her shell, we've got HP and speed, yellow speed, and then a bit of damage reduction. For Ling Lo, we had her on Reaper Steps. I was actually using Reaper Steps on Ling Lo as well as on my Aya. So I was actually alternating between the two. Because in the Bruiser matchup, I actually didn't have enough healers because my Fushu was actually getting banned a lot. So I actually had to use her on not effect res, but actually on HP to, survive and actually heal my board. So the Reaper Steps actually went to Aya in that matchup. Honestly, Aya does much better on Reaper Steps, but I was only able to build 1, so it was kind of hard to decide where that was going to go. We were able to get insights, yellow insight as well as yellow calm, and I think we got to 227 before insights affected us on her, and a decent amount of speed. She didn't really do too much work for me in the tournament. I think she's a great unit. If I could get a bit more speed on her, I think she would have been much better. But it just, yeah, I don't know. She just didn't feel that great. And this unit actually felt like the worst unit in my entire roster. He is 511, and he has this shell, and he was on Strive Bloodbath. His defense was terrible. I would much rather be at about 3,500 defense or so. But you know, you make do with what you got. His crit rate his crit rate is great. I think 85 is a nice place to be. We were on defense, and crit rate. Yeah. I only picked him when I had to pick him, basically. But when I did pick him, I felt disappointed in him. Yeah, I think he's more so useful for his S2. At least on my main, he feels great because he has a max S2. But yeah, he felt pretty sad. Lilium, I think I picked her in a couple of games, maybe 3 or 4 games, where they only had 1 DPS. I had her on a Bloodbath set. I was unable to farm enough, what are they called? Tiger Boys, whatever they're called, from Chloros. So I ended up using Law of Silence, which is the old school style of playing Lilium. This song also sucks, so I'm picking a new song. Give me a sec. Alright, this is a good song. Yeah, so she's on Bloodbath, Keen Eye, and Fury Edge. I was able to get to 100% crit, and I think I'm crit damage. Yeah. And yeah, she did pretty good when I did pick her. I didn't really pick her into CC. I mainly picked her into players that only picked one DPS. So she did pretty well in those instances. I think she pairs the best with Lily because she's able to use her ult twice. But she did do okay in other instances. Like, I think in one game I was able to pick her into a Kazuyo pick, and she basically won me the game. Yeah, she is on 115, and yeah. Next, Aya. Aya was 152, and she was on Strive Bloodbath, alternating between Gigabyte as well as the Reaper Steps. I had her on full HP when I was fighting versus Bruisers, and I had her on full Ephras when I was fighting versus Cleave players. Yeah, she is a very good unit. She often got banned, but when she went through, she did a lot of work. Yeah, I think she's a great unit. Sanya is my main go-to healer. I actually did keep her on the full HP set. Oh, sorry, she's on Ephras right now. But most games I did keep her on her full HP set, just for more healing, because I think she heals based off her HP. Yeah, so she heals based off her own HP, so I just kept her on HP set just to heal my bruisers. This, Celine's, was the sleeper, I think, best unit in my entire roster. She did work. She was great into bruisers, she was great into cleave. Many cleave players were using Celine's, so she was a great first pick. I think this unit's insane. I did not max her S3. She was 151, but she was pretty nutty. Her forgetfulness, as well as, yeah, just that turn 1 massive shield that also does damage to your opponent is really, really good. I had her on full one effect accuracy and double HP, and really bad speed, but on Gigabyte, so it makes up for it, and Strive. Yeah. Doki Doki. Originally, I was not going to build this unit, but I was saving up materials in order to pull for Raymarie, and whether or not I pulled Raymarie or not, basically decided whether or not I build Doki Doki, right? So if I were to pull Raymarie, Doki Doki would not be built, but if I didn't pull her, then I would build Doki Doki. And I ended up building Doki Doki. And she did work in maybe one game or 2 games. I was really struggling to decide between her S1 as well as her S3. So her S3 would have pushed for more, as well as given her more stacks, as well as cooldown, but her S1 is what makes it so she can actually act before the rest of your team. I played her on Alicorn, and we try to get as much speed as possible, and a bit of effect accuracy just so we don't get too many debuffs, so the Alicorn can actually cleanse what it needs to. I think she was on 1 HP and double effect res. So about 200 plus, 220 plus effect res after Insight. So yeah, she did pretty okay into just pure cleave comps. Oh, sorry, not pure cleave, but pure CC comps. So she did okay. Makoto. So she was rarely picked. I did pick her in some matchups where I was trying to completely cut off a damage dealer from my opponent. And yeah, she did okay in those matchups. Very, very bad matrix, just 15 bloodbath, and that's about it. And we did get to 90 crit rate. She was basically alternating between Rahu's artesian shell as well as Rahu's what's it called? Amber shell. So basically, if I was playing against T2, she would go on Amber, and Rahu would go on Artesian. But if I was going against CC Cleave, then she would go onto the Amber, and Rahu would go on the Rahu would go onto the Amber, and then she would go onto the Artesian. Because she wasn't really being picked in those matchups, but Rahu was, and the Amber on Rahu is like really, really important into Cleave. Assuming they don't have heal block, but yeah. Next, we had Viper. I think maybe I picked him once, but he didn't do anything. Yeah, Viper was not very good. Yeah, anyways, moving on. Viper was also using my Holden shell while Holden was on his Amber. And last but not least, we had Sylph. And she was on this Alicorn, and I never picked her. I didn't even pick her once. I did build her very last minute, and we were only able to get her to 5-star, and I never picked her. Yeah. I'm sure she's great, but there were better options for me, basically. I'm sure there were some games where I could have picked her and it could have made a difference, but my brain is not that big, unfortunately. But yeah, so that is my account as of day 30, I think. Today should be the day 30. Let's take a look. Achievement, journey, day 31. So this is right after the tournament. Those were my builds. And yeah, I will see you next time for some of the games, as well as what I've basically cleared, a bit more detail into what I've cleared on this account before going into the tournament. So yeah, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.